Hi all. Right, the trouble with PCs, why they overheat, is um, the board needs flipping. So if I go back, I'm using snippet. Right, so you got a video card in there, one video card, a really good drawing, and you got a couple of hard drives, really bad drawing. I got 4, so if I'm running 4 hard drives, and then my PC pen, and I got PC pen. I should do a different color. Oh. Right, so your CPU produces heat, your video card produces heat, your hard drives produce heat. So oh well, I tell you. Right, so stick my radiator up the top, and I put a pan over there, and you put a pan over there. Maybe you might have pans at the bottom, but I have 2 pans. Oh, 1 pan there. Then you got your power supply, maybe at the bottom of the case. Well, small one, so, and you got a fan in that, drawing air in the bottom. So maybe you might have a fan down the bottom. Alright, the trouble with the old version, what we use every day now, is that it's drawing air in, so that's drawing heat straight to the video card. And most of the video cards just have the fans and the heat come off the top, so we don't think about the heat at the bottom of the video card, because you're at the bottom of the video card, so you got heat coming out there at the top, and at the bottom of your video card, because it's getting pushed air downwards into your case, isn't it? Like that. So the heat coming off the video card getting pushed onto the board. So if you're running 2 video cards, even worse. So the heat coming off here, the hard drives, if I'm using them, gets pushed into the video card. You still got cold air from here, so maybe only running 1, 2, a side pan, and then you have 3 pans at the top. So the heat from the bottom of the video card is getting pushed straight up to your CPU, like that. So a little bit of heat gets sucked out that way. But then the bottom of your CPU is like, I'm really shit drawing. It's like that, right? And then your radiator sits, or your water block sits like that. But you can imagine the heat, the water block only cooling the top of your CPU, and then you got all the heat coming off the bottom around the CPU as well, because you're not cooling the bottom of the CPU, you're only cooling the top of the CPU. So the heat that's coming off the CPU is basically radiating out onto your case, on your board. See? And then the heat off this, so that's running at 80 Celsius. If you've got a 48, 90 or something. And then you're running the new CPUs, so you might be pushing 80 off that as well. So that heat goes straight up to your memory. So then your memory's getting a massive wall of heat pushed against it, isn't it? So the heat, the hard drives, the video card, the CPU is straight against your memory. And then the heat off that, these 3, straight into your radiator. So if you wonder why your radiator doesn't cool down, So your radiator is going to sit plus. So your temperature, your hard drives, your video card, and the CPU, and then if your memory heats up, because it's getting these three pushing heat against your memory, so it's stupid board, you might get small amount of heat out the back. But then your radios, your memory and your CPU is copping mass of the heat, and then your CPU's producing 180 to 100 Celsius. It's getting from the bottom of the CPU, it's pushed into your memory, and then the radiator sucks all the heat from the computer. So you want your CPU to be cooler, but the problem is you're pumping 80 Celsius into your radiator. See, stupid design. So, snippet's good because you can just. I'm on 2 cents. JayzTwoCents. Right, so I can't flip this. So just imagine if I flipped it. So I'm red. So if you flipped it, that means the video card's here. Right? And if you put your CPU on this side and your memory there, should do your memory different. Different color, green. So if my memory's down here, really shit drawn. So you got 2 memory sticks, and then your radiators. At the bottom. Like that. So your CPU's there, your video card's there, your arms, and your memory's there. So you basically draw and coil air through your radiator from under the case. Alright? So then from your radiator, you're pushing cold air onto the bottom or around your CPU. You're pushing cold air onto your memory chips. Then, because your chips are going to be colder, because you're already pushing cold air, into your video card will push cold air. See? That's why you need a flip. So the heat, as you read, from your video card basically goes out straight at the top of the case. And then the heat off your CPU will be cooler, which you're basically pushing cold air onto the CPU. It'll be slightly cooler out of the top of your case. See? So wouldn't it be better to flip the system so that the memory and your CPU and the rest of all these components are down here at the bottom? You can't see with your finger. So if you just completely flip the board upside down, so it means you have to put all that on this side, and then all this stay there, but you just got to flip this. So your radiator's drawing in cold air, so then it'll run cooler. You're pushing cold air straight into the bottom of the CPU, so cool air is getting pushed all around that. Then your memory is getting cold air pushed against it, because your CPU is running cooler, because you're already pushing cold air on it. And then the rest of the cold air from your 3 fans, I haven't got a squishy thing on me mic, pushing cold air straight into the video card, and then the heat off the video card gets sucked out the top of the computer, and then you got an exhaust fan to suck extra heat off it. So if you're running the fans at the bottom as well, you're pushing cold air more on the CPU. So in turn, your CPU will stay a lot cooler, your memory will stay cooler. You can put an M2 slots So you can basically put your video card up further up. So you can put two video cards at the top. So remove that one. And then you can put your video cards higher up in the system, so that more of the cold air from the bottom of the case gets pushed around the computer better. So the air, so when the air comes off this, it'll be a lot cooler. So by the time that air hits the video card, it's already cool. So then your heat's, see? It's just if they flip the system. So CPU, auto block, radiator bottom, memory's cooler, M2 slots are cooler, and you put the video cards higher so that it eliminates all that heat. Oh, it's at the bottom, now at the top, and all the bottom will stay colder. So your computer will run better. Sneaking. So what do you think? Should they flip the motherboard? So basically, all that stays cold, doesn't it? So your CPU won't overheat, your memory won't overheat, your M2 slots won't overheat, because you remove 90% of the heat and you put it up to the top. See, that board's stupid, because once your video card heats up, the CPU hits the memory, your memory runs twice or three times hotter, your radiator at the top's sucking all the heat in, so that'll stay a lot hotter, so your CPU gets hotter, so in turn you're just basically cooking the CPU, and your CPU dies quicker, or you blue screens, or your computer crashes, because you're just basically cooking. This way you're basically just cooking the CPU and all your chips, really, and your memory. Sorry, Mike. Well, I'm not rich, so I can't afford all these fancy microphones and lights, and you need money. The golden coin, I call it. You can't go anywhere in the world without a coin in your pocket. So what do you think? Should flip the motherboard upside down? Yeah, that's me version of the, well, I think the computers should do the opposite, what they're doing at the moment. So, what do you think? Well, hope you like and enjoy, or enjoy, if it was information, and get up the companies that you want the boards flipped. True. Alright, bye, have a lovely day.